Okay, so you just saw me cut the, those pieces off the ends of these old school bus bumpers. The original idea I had was to use the center section out of them, heat it or cut, relief cut, bend it, trim it up, weld it back together to achieve like this. But then I got to looking at those pieces I cut off, and they're like the right length. If I trim off, on the other side of those chain hook holes that were in them originally, the way I've got these sitting right now, which, the one's on the ground, but I would trim those ends off. These are like the perfect length to evenly hit the bar and be a decent amount off the ground. So I think I'm going to trim these up to get them to fit together good. And then I'll weld these two pieces together, and then I'm going to do like a piece of angle iron on the ends to hook the bar. And then, of course, once I get that done, I'll drill holes and I'll get some 1/2-inch bolts that will, this side, is the adjustable side. This side's only got one set of holes. But I'll get the pins on there so you can place them and they won't slide on the bars. It'll, help secure them to the dollies. And then when you, which the original advertisement, they didn't tie the car down, they just set them in these and they towed them. But I have, like I said before, I have the lasso straps, and they will hook to the grab handle and pull the tire down into them. But I think this will work really good. The original ones were probably about this wide, I'm guessing, like here to here. But I want a little wider because I'm going to be towing a lot of trucks that have, mud tires on them that are a little bit wider, like these, there's a little bit of width, a little bit more width on these old mud tires on a lot of these trucks. So I want it to be able to sit in there really easily, or stuff that has flat tires. I don't have to try to squeeze it into a little narrow thing. So it looks like that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to work on getting these all cleaned up. Probably won't video that because it's just going to be a lot of, I'll probably get in the way of the camera a lot, and this is going to take a while. But bring you guys back when I get these ready to mock up, or maybe I'll get one welded up so you can see what I'm doing, and then I'll have that figured out as well. All right, so I didn't take the time to set up the camera because I've been working on this stuff in between my morning and afternoon shift. But I've got these whatever you want to call them, wheel pans done for now. I'm going to try them like this. I was thinking about adding like a brace, like a little bar, like going across it here, but these are really thick. I don't know the technical thickness, what the measurement is, because I'm not good with numbers, but you can see it's a nice V shape. We've got this upright on the sides, and then of course the ribbing, and then I welded these pieces of angle iron on. That was loud. That hook over. Now, also, I did not put pins to line up in these holes because these things are heavy, and I believe the original design for these, because all the advertisement I've seen is you set the vehicle on there and then you would tow it, and they had like a big ramp on the front side of the original pans. I think the whole idea was that you set the car in there, you tow it down the road, and you didn't have to do anything extra. The weight of the car would keep it on there. I am going to strap these to the vehicle that I tow, and I might even chain them to the vehicle if I can't, if it doesn't have a parking brake, or if it's an automatic, if it's a vehicle without a drive line or whatever. So I don't have to worry about these trying to rotate if they hit something. I'll chain them up to the vehicle so I can just get down the road to the new property and not have to worry about it. So I'll probably repaint these bars at some point, but I didn't feel like taking the time to wire wheel them down and stuff right now, but because they work as they are, and they're going to get scraped up. I was going to paint these black, but then I had some old cans of white paint, and I figured the white is a little more visible. It'll make it nicer to eyeball the alignment when I'm putting a vehicle in there, and they're going to get beat up anyways, so I'll probably sandblast them and paint them again in the future. But for now, they've got paint on them, so they're not going to just immediately rust. So, and I think I showed this. I got my cables on there. So these should be ready to go, other than I need to put some weight on these and torque the lug nuts to make sure they're tight. But we've got fresh grease, fresh bearings, fresh seals, brand new wheels and tires. Everything's been painted. We did the modifications necessary to clear the tires, and now we have the pans to put the vehicle wheels and tires in, because those aren't close enough together for some of the smaller wheels and tires, or like the stuff that's got flat tires. So the next challenge is figuring out where they're going to live. Now the bars, they were just thrown on the bed of the tow truck, and the dollies used to be mounted to the boom, and I didn't have the pans, they were missing. So I'm not putting the dollies back up here, because this hits here if I want to lift the boom up with the winch right now. I have not undone the modification where this is at a set height, but I can run the cable all the way up into it and get that up out of the way if I need to for some reason. I usually only do that just to flip the sling out, but the dollies they'll probably just get thrown up here. The pipes fit barely. One end has to go under the edge of the bed rail, and then they slip in there. I would like to actually move this forward like 6 inches or so, just enough to get this where you know, the pulley ends up being out this way a little bit more. It looks like most of these were actually set up to where that would have been over the back of the truck a little bit, so it winches more up, straight up off the back of the bed. But this is a Holmes 440 that's been heavily modified. It's missing, you can see over here where it used to have the winch drum and stuff. They've welded up all the holes and stuff, so I can't. That's how you would have the adjustability here. So that's been modified, and then this is a Challenger, or Challenger bed, not Challenger bed, it's a Century bed. It says it right here on the handle. Yeah, right there. But so it would have originally had the Century plaques up there and stuff, but I don't think this bed, I've looked at some pictures, I believe this is, I don't know what the model of the bed is, but I've seen a couple other trucks that only had a wheel lift, and then they had a winch mounted on the deck plate up here, which actually you can kind of see some holes where maybe that would have been originally. And they did not have a boom, they were just like a wheel lift truck. I've seen like 2 of them now I found for sale. But so this thing, you know, it's a hodgepodge of parts. So here's more of the welded up stuff. There is a gear up in here still, but you can see where they torched off something there. They didn't really clean it up before they welded that chain hanger on there, but yeah, this is all bolted on. So my idea was to move this forward a little bit and try to find a tunnel box that would fit in here. That was, you know, like up to here, just like a small kind of tunnel box. That way I can put like the wheel dolly stuff in there. I can put the shovel in here, you know, these boards, or I'll get more of these. This one's was split in 2, and I kind of screwed it together, but it's doing what it needs to do. That way I have more storage, because right now I only have this for like my straps and stuff for the dollies. But yeah, so it's raining a little bit right now. I really wanted to get these cut off before I call it a wrap on doing some repairs on this, before I switch over to fixing the box fan. Showed you guys that the other day. I got those done. So I think we're pretty close to having all these updates and maintenance things done to this, so we can use it. Of course, like I said, it's raining. This is what I'm going to work on now. is wiper linkage bushings, because all the linkage is apart in there, and I want to fix my cab lights, so I might try to look at getting those done. The only other thing I need to do for tow truck wise is, I think I've said it before, I want to drill another hole in this bar, like probably around the, well, there's a hole in it here, so I was thinking probably doing a hole probably in it about this far down, another 6 inches or so from the hole that's there, so that way this can actually be out further for some of these. I'm not going to tow this, but for example, two-wheel drive or lower sitting things, it will make this at not such a like straight downward angle to get it low enough to hook it up. So, but yeah, so the dollies are done, other than torquing the lug nuts. And the next time you guys see them will probably be when we're doing some towing with them. So, and eventually, like I said, I'll figure out some mounting. It's probably glaring really bad. I'll figure out some mounting for the dollies, at least the dolly part. And then, like I said, I want to put a tunnel box in on there, so I can put the bars and those wheel pans inside the box, so they're not just floating around on the bed, banging around and liable to fall off. But those things are heavy enough, I don't think they're just going to fall off. So, but yeah, anyways, they're done. So thanks for watching.